In today's video, we have these two beautiful trucks. This is a Ford Lightning and this is a Ford PowerBoost, aka hybrid engine. So we're going to be talking about comparisons between the two, pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. Should you own a Ford EV or a PowerBoost? Is that better for you? So stay tuned. Let's talk about this comparison. Obviously, one of the advantages that the Lightning has is the fun factor, which is through the roof. And the reason I say that is because when you accelerate on an EV, this thing has immediate acceleration. The power is transferred to the wheels immediately on an instant, unlike a gasoline engine that has to travel through all of the powertrain to get to the wheels. So the fun factor, it is unmatched. It is one of the advantages that a Lightning has. Advantage 2 is the tax credits. That is huge. In Texas, we have a $7,500 tax credit when you buy an EV vehicle. Now, there has to be a couple of things that happen. First of all, the vehicle has to be $80,000 or less, which we have plenty of Lightnings that qualify for that. I believe a combination of salary with two people has to be up to $300,000. So most people can go ahead and apply for this credit. Now, the beauty about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe starting January of 2024, the manufacturer will allow to transfer that rebate, which is $7,500, to the dealership so that the dealership can go ahead and transfer it over to you. And guess what that does? Not only does it lower your price of the vehicle, but it also lowers your payments. So this is advantage number 2. What is going on? My name is Jorge Lopez, and yes, I sell cars. We are located in Tomball, Texas. Hey, my contact information is on the screen. I would love to connect with you if you are ever in the need for a Ford vehicle. Let's chat. Now, onto the video. Point number 3 brings me to this part of the truck. The low maintenance on this vehicle is almost nothing, right? Because there is no gas engine. So there's a lot less parts on an EV vehicle to worry about. So you don't have to do a transmission flush. You don't have to do an engine coolant flush or a radiator flush because there's nothing. So low maintenance is a huge point regarding an EV vehicle. Another benefit about owning an EV vehicle is that it does not leave a carbon footprint behind. When you hit the gas pedal on that guy, guess what? You're spitting a lot of stuff. On an EV vehicle, there is absolutely nothing because there's no internal combustion engine. So I feel like this is a small benefit, but still a benefit about owning an EV. Charging at home, that's actually a benefit. Why? Because you get home, right, after long days of work, and then all you need to do is plug in your adapter, your connector to this truck. And the really beauty about that is that you can actually set when the charging time starts. I know that some of the electric providers might give you a discount when you're charging at certain times in the day. And that is the beauty. That is when you can save while charging at home. Now, talking about charging, when you're traveling, that is also a nice benefit because when you're charging your vehicle, guess what? You can take a break, right? Maybe not only fuel your truck, but also fuel yourself with some Whataburger. Who likes Whataburger, Chick-fil-A? We in Texas do. So while the truck is charging, you're at a charging site, guess what? You can start playing, anything that you want on the vehicle. But guess what? Even better, you can take a nap. I'll see you later. So yes, taking a break, playing a game is a good benefit about owning an EV vehicle, but also a negative, now that we're talking about negatives, is the time. The time that it takes for you to finish the trip. Why? Well, because you have to plan your trip accordingly, right? According to these chargers. That's the negative part about owning an EV vehicle. So let's continue talking about some more negatives. Another disadvantage about owning an EV vehicle is something called range anxiety, right? And that is the feeling, the bad feeling that you get when you're about to run out of juice, out of battery power, and then you're stranded somewhere and then it is just a pain because it's not easy for you to refuel an EV vehicle. It takes time, right? So that is one of the negatives about this, is range anxiety. And I feel like range anxiety exists because the infrastructure, which is another negative about EV vehicles, is still there. The charging stations, there are not enough of them to make you feel comfortable taking a trip. Now, that's going to change. You know, as time goes and as more vehicles are being produced, there's going to be more charging stations. The more and more you use an electrical device, the battery degrades, right? Basically, it doesn't hold the charge as much, and that's going to happen with an EV vehicle eventually. However, these are being built really, really well, and they're withstanding a good amount of time. But over, I would say, a 10-year period of time, the battery is not going to hold as much charge as you would want it to. And that leads me to another point, is the battery waste. At some given time, we're going to have to replace that battery. And where does that battery cell goes to? It's going to have to go to waste somehow. So that's another point against an EV vehicle, is degradation of the battery and the waste that it creates once it's time to replace. In Texas, we are an oil and gas state. I mean, we've got tons of people that drill, that work in companies that drill. So they are against EV vehicles, okay? So I don't know about your state, but here in Texas, and it's really hard to try to sell EV vehicles to customers, which brings me to another negative about an EV vehicle, and that is the power grid. I don't feel that the power grid has been upgraded enough to withstand all of the incoming EV vehicles that are going to be pushed to market. So that is another negative about an EV vehicle. Now let's switch gears and talk about some benefits of owning a PowerBoost or hybrid engine on your next vehicle. So I feel like a hybrid engine is a good compromise. Not going full electric ready yet, that's not a problem. That's why we've got a hybrid component vehicle here. So a hybrid is a combination of a gas and an electrical motor and battery that will kind of act like a full EV vehicle. So if you're not ready to commit to the full EV vehicles, then consider the hybrid, because I think that gets you exposure, gets you to practice the feel of driving in an electric mode. But guess what? You've got a gas engine, so you don't have to worry about making that trip. Now, coming along the side of this truck, I'm gonna show you another advantage, and we are all used to fueling up a gas engine vehicle, right? You just go to your pump, you pump your fuel, you're done in minutes, right? So that's a huge benefit about owning a hybrid component, is that you can do this in a matter of moments. And on that long trip, it really just takes you a couple of minutes. Now, another huge benefit about owning a hybrid engine over a full EV is back over here, specifically talking about trucks. And here in Texas, man, everything is big in Texas. So we sell tons of F-150s, and the towing and the hauling is best when you go with a gas engine. In this case, a hybrid component is going to be better towing than that. Believe it or not, when you tow with a full EV vehicle, your range cuts dramatically versus this right here. You can still do a very long trip, haul your 14,000 pounds without a problem. So towing and hauling is best with a hybrid component engine. As you can see, we've got a lot of stuff in here. You've got your electrical motor components and your gas engine components on there. So there's a lot of parts that are required and needed when you're going with a gas engine or a hybrid engine component. Also, it takes a lot more time to put this together. Why? Because there's more parts, there's more suppliers that Ford needs to hire to put these together. And then also, lastly, on this point, it just costs a lot more money to repair, to replace, because you've got a lot more things. You've got an engine, a transmission, a radiator, so you got more stuff. It's more expensive to replace, and you've got a lot more things, so it takes a lot more time to put this together. Even though this might not be in most cases a disadvantage, but this thing is slow. Well, kinda. I mean, it's 6.3 seconds 0 to 60, but it's 4.2 0 to 60 on a Ford Lightning. So this is a slower truck, so that's what you get. with a gas engine. And it brings me to my last point, which is change and technology. Now, most people don't want to adapt to that. Most people say, you know what, I'm good over here in the hybrid. But I feel like that's a disadvantage because change is happening. You know, you always want to have the best, fastest computer, the best, fastest cell phone as well. Well, this is changing. We're going into that era where everything is going to be on a touch screen, and the electricity is going to be better for you to charge EV vehicles. So for right now, the disadvantage is that there's not a lot of people that are willing to change. You're asking yourself, is an EV vehicle for you? Well, a few things to help you make the decision. If you like technology, it's a no-brainer. Most EVs, I think all of EVs have a lot of technology in them. Almost gonna fall. If you don't live far from work, I think you can also make an EV work for you. If you've got a family of multiple cars, you can definitely make an EV work for you, because for longer trips, you can take your gas engine vehicle, and for shorter trips, you can also take your electric vehicle. Also, if you live in warmer climates, the batteries work best, but don't get discouraged if you live in the northern states. It can still work for you. And then lastly, if you've got accessible charging ports at your home or at your work, you can definitely make an EV work for you. Now, you might be asking yourself, is a hybrid component better for you? Well, if you drive a lot, that is the number one reason why you should consider a hybrid, not an EV. If you're towing something with your F-150, that is another reason to get this hybrid component vehicle. Why? Because it will out-tow the EV for a longer period of time. And then also, if you don't want to make that change, if you want to stay with an internal combustion engine, well, the hybrid component is for you. Now, there's some folks that really are not ready for a change. If you're not ready for a change, well, you have to stay with a hybrid, right, until you're getting used to the electric vehicle. If you're a family of one car, then really I would recommend going hybrid versus an EV. And if you're that kind of person that do not like to spend, 30 minutes, 40 minutes at a public charger, then I think this is your solution. Okay, well, there you have it, guys. This is hopefully an informative video regarding pros and cons about going EV and advantages and disadvantages of going hybrid. Which one would you choose? I'm curious to know. If you have a question about going either way, please let me know in the comments. If you own a full electric vehicle, let me know in the comments too. How has your experience been? Hey, if you like this kind of content, make sure that you give us a like. Make sure that you share this video with somebody that might be considering an electric vehicle or a hybrid. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss any upcoming videos. On to the next video. Have a blessed day.